Do you love Resident Evil 4, or are you wrong? What a stupid intro. I do awful fucking intros. But here I am, doing these awful intros. Real quick before we get into the video, this ended up way beefier than I was expecting it to be. So I had to split it up into parts. My bad. This isn't just some lazy ploy for more views, I swear. This was going to be one big thing, but I really wanted to get this out in time for Resident Evil 4's release, which, as of recording this, is in 7 hours. So, I'm excited. I'm about to change shirts. Don't freak out, okay? Do me a favor, don't freak out. Love it or hate it, the impact on the gaming landscape has been forever changed by the introduction of Resident Evil 4. That impact is still being felt to this day. Sure, Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 forever changed survival horror games in general. The impact that Resident Evil 4 has on the industry is more so for action games. Here I am talking about Resident Evil 4 like it's the fall of the Berlin Wall, but you know what? I think that fits. Like every other nerdy little twerp in 2005, I was super excited for Resident Evil 4. I had to wait to play it. I was 10 at the time, but after a little bit, I did manage to get my hands on it, and I fell in love, just like everybody else. It's a wildly fun game, super cool art style, great graphics of the time. It was just a grand time. Fast forward 18 years, and Capcom is now releasing the remake of Resident Evil 4. That's right, a remake, and it looks like shit. Hot shit. Good. The game looks great. A lot of people don't think that this game needs a remake. I think they're right to some extent. I'm still excited. I'm still going to be playing the shit out of it. The game looks fantastic. Reviews are coming in. Everybody says it's perfect. It looks fantastic. I'm a Resident Evil nerd. I have to be the person hyped for this game. But the demo came out, the chainsaw demo came out a little while ago as of recording this. I've been playing the shit out of it. It's so wildly fun. It really looks like I'm going to be eating my own balls. That's not the phrase. Eating my own words. As to when I said that Resident Evil Remake 2 was the ideal way to remake a game. Some people didn't agree with that. That's okay. I'm thinking I'm going to be wrong when I play Resident Evil 4 Remake. That's whatever. That's neither here nor there. I'm excited to eat my own balls and or words. Resident Evil is just such a fun franchise for me. 4 especially. It is just one of my all-time favorite games of all time. All time. So in honor of the release, I wanted to go back. I wanted to talk about the original that I love so much. I wanted to talk about some of the things that it did right. I'm not even going to finish that sentence. I don't think it does anything wrong. For starters, I'm a pretty bad reviewer, but this video in general, it's not really a review. This is just me gushing about Resident Evil 4. I adore this game. I love it to death. It can do no wrong in my eyes. And you know what? That's not what this is. This isn't a review. This isn't a retrospective. It kind of is. This is nostalgia pandering. That's what this video is. If you don't like that, that's fine. You don't have to sit here and watch the video. I'm going to geek out about Resident Evil 4. That's what I'm doing this video. So yeah, this one's going to be a little masturbatory. That's okay. That's fine. Buckle up. Let's talk about Resident Evil 4. So the game kind of info dumps us right at the beginning. Leon starts spilling the beans about Umbrella, Raccoon City, that whole incident. We get a very, very brief understanding of what has happened to him between that time. We get more information in later entries, but as of right now, it's basically Resident Evil 2 happens, 8 years pass, Leon's working for the president. I don't know how he goes from A to B, but he does. So he's working for the president. His exclusive duty is to protect the president's daughter. And her ass gets kidnapped. So that's where the game starts. So he's out looking for the president's daughter, Ashley Graham. As far as I know, the game starts up with him having intel that she's somewhere in Spain. Reports saying that there's some white woman just hanging around, causing trouble. So that's where he checks. He has local PD bring him in. These guys are fucking useless. They don't offer much help, and the game knows that, and it plays with you. Kicking his white ass out of the car, they tell him to go have fun, go to the village, and the game starts. We are given control of Leon, passes over some mysteriously murdered birds into someone's residence without knocking, just kind of opening the door and walking in. So after a brief B&E, Leon interacts with the person who presumably owns the house and just asks if he's seen Ashley. And the dude tries to cut his head off. So he starts shooting. He starts shooting all the locals, anybody who walks up to him, anybody who does anything, anybody who even looks at him, boom, pop, dead. And that's how the game starts. Leon starts shooting the native population of rural Spain. I guess they started to kill him first, but it's also just a video game. So don't take anything too seriously, I guess. Before we go any further, while I'm clearly an advocate for bird murder, just unapologetic bird murder, fuck birds, you should save the dog. In all scenarios. There should never come a time when you're playing Resident Evil 4 and you pass up this dog trapped in a bear trap and you leave it. If you do that, I got nothing to say to you. You're garbage, okay? Always save the dog. I'm always advocating for the dog to be saved. In every scenario, save the dog. I just think that it's a fake dog. Don't act like I don't know that. Don't act like I'm not aware that it's a fake dog. I still save the dog, okay? Even I'm gonna rant about this fucking dog if I keep talking, and I'm not gonna save the dog. You proceed into the village where they are roasting your cop friend alive. He is in the middle of a funeral pyre or just a bonfire. He is being lit up, and he's dead. So you start shooting everyone because they see you and they yell at you, and then you start shooting them. This early encounter, pretty difficult. I've played this game 3, 4, 5,000 times. I still have trouble with the village section. Not to imply that I die every time I play it. It's a stressful situation. People come out of nowhere. If you wander into the wrong corner of the map, you have 2 chainsaw people chasing after you at any given moment. But the name of the game here isn't killing everyone. It's biding your time. Eventually, this big bell rings far off in a distance, dragging everyone's attention to it, and then they wander off. And that's the start of that's the roll credits. Here's the title screen. Resident Evil 4 has begun. Your introductory chapter is over. I think this intro is great. Clearly, you're not fighting zombies anymore. These people have a little bit more intelligence. Little bit. But overall, you are dealing with something wholly different. You don't know what it is yet, but you will. You'll find out. Just be patient, sucker. With nowhere left to go and no other information, you kind of just wander around the village looking for Ashley. At some point, I can't remember if it's Hunnigan who tells you or you just straight up find a note about it. You are told that village people are discussing a prisoner in a house at the edge of the village. So obviously you need to go check that out. You need to go see who that is because it might be Ashley. It's not, but it might be. So you make your way over there and you find Louis Serra, a recurring character in this game, tied up in a closet. You free him, and then you get knocked the fuck out. Leon, while he's out, they shoot him up full of meth, and then they wave bye-bye, and they leave him in a cabin somewhere. Once you're woken up, Luis just runs off to do God knows what, and Leon is left to just go in a straight direction, I guess, through a bunch of ganados, the enemies of this game, but that's just kind of what he's left to do. You go straight, and you keep on going, you go straight. During our travels, we go to the chief's house. The chief of the village has his own big old house, and he's a brick shit house of a character. I'd like to jump in right here. I think every narrative could use a brick shithouse character. I think that's such a cool trope that's not utilized enough. I am advocating for more brick shithouse characters in all forms of media. Video games, movies, TV shows, animated cartoons. I'm talking about brick shithouses in the fucking Wiggles. I love brick shithouse character archetypes. So you go to the chief's house and you get the key that lets you make your way to the church, because at some point you learned that that's where Ashley is. She's in the church. So you get the key, you open that big old door that everybody went through during the village siege section. Open that door up, go straight on to the church. Church is locked. Everything's locked in this fucking game. Ignore the fact that it's got windows. Ignore the fact you could just jump on through, shoot out a window, just go on in. Nope. Leon's gotta play by the rules, find the key. Can't just open it up through auxiliary methods. No. He's gotta do the whole... He did a B&E at the beginning of the game. That makes no sense. Whatever. So you go off looking for this key to the church. Eventually you come to a lake where you see them dumping the other body of the police officer who assisted you. So both police officers, deadzo, finito. They're dead is what I'm trying to say, because I said deadzo. Did you hear that? That's what I said. So that brings us to our first boss of the game, and in my opinion, the most obnoxious. I don't like the logo. I feel like I'm... let me use a different way to say that. I feel like I'm throwing harpoons at him for 10 minutes, and then at some point he just dies. And that's... I don't know. I'm not into it. I think the fight is just kind of obnoxious. But, you know, it happens. The logo is done. And that brings us to the end of chapter 1. You beat the boss. Leon gets out of the boat and just starts having a meth flashback. I guess. No, he's got a parasite in his body that they injected him with earlier on in the chapter. And he just kind of conks out, and that's the end. And that's how chapter 1 ends. The end. That's the end. That's the end of the whole game. The game's over. Go home. Pay your taxi driver. What am I saying? Let's address the video happening in the background at this point. So I'm playing the Steam version, the Ultimate HD edition, with the HD texture pack project loaded up. This texture pack took like 10 years for some poor fan to make. I believe it was like 2 to 3 people. Once it started to build up steam, you know, there were a lot more people involved in it. But this still took like 10 years. A whole decade of some people's lives devoted to an HD texture pack. God bless them. Oh my god, it's beautiful. So new game, playing on normal, no extra weapons or anything, because people got really upset when I used special weapons for Resident Evil 2, so I'm not doing that now. I don't feel the need to. This gameplay is so fluid. It's so fun. I love it. So I was like, yeah, normal works, and I had fun. I had a great time. I didn't try to speed run, basically because a majority of the treasures in this game, I know where they are. And I wanted them, and my little OCD brain wanted all those treasures, so I said, let's do it. Let's get the treasure. And I did. This was also my first time playing on mouse and keyboard. I liked it. I liked playing on mouse and keyboard. I've always played this with a controller or a Wii remote or something, but this time I was like, let's go full M plus KB. Let's do that. I don't know if it worked because of RE4 tweaks, an additional program included in the HD texture pack. I don't know if that's the reason it worked or if it just defaults to working. I don't think so, because I don't feel like they really nailed down mouse and keyboard controls when they fully released this game on Steam. Regardless, the textures, wildly detailed. This is how I remember the game being played. Obviously it's not, and obviously if I ever even try to go back to the original textures, I feel like I'm gonna have a brain aneurysm because they don't look this good in the original game, and they look really good now. And while I think this is the ideal way to play Resident Evil 4 original 2005, how do I phrase this? But this is a GameCube original game. Came out in 2005. That's 18 years. It is not perfect. In no way is it perfect. So it's a GameCube game ported to like 3 other consoles and then ported to PC. And then that PC version updated because that original PC version was bonk. It was awful. That original PC version updated to the Ultimate HD edition on Steam, and then a texture pack applied to it with so much resolution put into the textures, which the engine was just never meant to work with this. It's a little buggy. It's a little unstable. I kept having this audio desyncing problem where the audio would not be synced up. I don't know how else to phrase that. Another thing, so running this game, I don't know if this is just a default of Resident Evil 4 Ultimate HD Edition. I don't know if this is exclusive to the HD texture pack. I don't know anything. I don't know nothing. But running the game with Windows 11 HDR enabled, because I do have an HDR display and a graphics card that I don't think you need much graphics power to do HDR regardless, it gave me this smeary look for all the blacks. And it's not my monitor. I don't have an OLED. That's typical of OLEDs sometimes. I do not have an OLED. No, it wasn't that, and it didn't show up in the recording. I don't know what it was. It doesn't happen on other games. It only happened on Resident Evil 4. But it happened, and I'm not worried about it, so I had to turn off HDR, and that fixed it. I also couldn't get the game to run at 120 FPS. I've been spoiled by 120 FPS as of late. I have a high refresh rate monitor. I built a whole new computer and quickly just dove right into high frame rate gameplay. I've ruined myself, but at a stable 60, it was okay. It still felt a little jumpy, cutty to me. I couldn't tell if this was just micro stutters in the engine. I couldn't tell if this was just the general nature of 60 FPS gameplay. I don't know. It happened though. That's all I have to say about that. I'm running this game like 6 degrees away from the original gameplay method. I think I'm lucky it even runs, so I'm fine. I'm okay. I don't need it to be perfect. This game, the content of it, I think is just about perfect. I was gonna have some negatives some way or another. These are my negatives. Another little quirk, another little fuck up that 60 FPS introduces into the game is it makes the QTEs harder. They didn't fix the timing when they decided to up the frame rate from 30 to 60 frames per second. So the QTEs are all much harder because they're frame dependent instead of like second dependent. So if I had made it 120 FPS, it would have been even harder. Still, I turned on auto QTE when I was still trying to get 120 frames per second working, and I just left it on the whole game. It's really the only bonus I'm playing with, I promise. Everything else, super normal, new game, no bonus content, nothing like that. I didn't even do a cool costume or nothing. I just said, let's play this the way the first playthrough is meant to be played. And just the gameplay is so fluid and it's so fun and it's so. You know what? Let's jump in here again and start talking about the gameplay. I'm sure a lot of people who see the gaming landscape as it is today, and they see an over-the-shoulder third-person shooter game as typical. You know, kids today with their Fortnite, they see that as just a standard, as just part of gaming as a whole. Resident Evil 4 was the first one to do that, though. I mean, third-person shooters existed. You got your Tomb Raiders, you got your other games, but those were all put the camera like right behind your head and maybe a little bit up. Everything else, nothing else. There were no other differences. Sometimes your character felt like it was blocking the action and just kind of made everything kind of stinky. And then Resident Evil 4 comes along and says, you know what, let's move it a little to the right. And perfect. And it works. It works really well. I genuinely think that the third-person perspective shooter game might be my favorite of all time. I think it works really, really well. Gunplay is super satisfying. You know, you play Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 1, the classics, the tank controls. guns are clearly different between themselves. You know, pistol shoots at a different pace than a shotgun and has a different radius and blah 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 blah. That doesn't super come into play until you introduce the third-person camera, in my opinion, because you are more up in the face of it. You were there. You're right there behind Leon, experiencing everything, not through his eyes, but pretty close to it. So the guns feel a lot more satisfying. This was really the first game I played where I was noticing a tangible difference in guns. Not just from pistol to shotgun to SMG to sniper, between the individual guns within those categories themselves. Every time I play this game, the second I unlock the Red 9, it is purchased, and I carry that until the end of the game. I love the Red 9. But there's a real difference in how these guns shoot, the type of recoil they have. They put a lot of work into how these guns function between themselves. I think it's wildly cool. The typical gameplay loop you're going to see a lot of people playing this game. You pop them in the head, you run over and you spin kick them onto the ground, and then you pull out your knife and you cut them until they're dead. That's a super efficient way to do it. It saves the most amount of handgun bullets, bullets of any kind, but that's not really feasible when you get later into the game. But what's so great about Resident Evil 4 is, and I talked a little bit about this when I talked about Resident Evil 2 Remake, but it's got this dynamic difficulty. If you keep dying, if you keep running out of ammo, as long as you keep pushing through, as long as you don't just set the game down and stop touching it, it'll adjust. It'll adjust to you. It's not going to make it super easy. It's not going to make all the enemies just pop the second you look at them. But it genuinely follows your skill level. It'll introduce you to something that's a little bit more difficult. If you can't handle it, it'll back it up, and eventually, you know, if you keep pushing through, you'll proceed through. And I think that's really cool. I think that's so much better than some sort of artificial numbers change type difficulty setting. Games today, there's no more thought put into a lot of games today for the difficulty other than what percentage these actually hit for. And that's basically all that they change throughout each difficulty setting. I think this is a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more refined to you, because you may be stuck on one boss, but the rest of the game's a cakewalk. But this one boss, it's really messing with you. It's really getting up in your face. So they'll drop, you keep struggling with it, they'll drop it down to your level, and then later on, once you're back into the game and you're getting things back up, it'll raise it. I think that's beautiful. I think that's great. Aside from shooting, there's a bit of puzzling involved. I say a bit because these puzzles aren't complex at all. Once you know their solutions, it's kind of stupidly easy. This one, the solution is 3334443. This one, you slide the block from the left to the center, and then all the others go around. This one's literally just 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're done. You key in 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're done. That's like setting a password as password. It's stupid. It's stupidly easy, and you feel like a fool when you spend so much time on these puzzles. And then you know the solution, and you're like, wow, I'm an idiot. Cool. See, you made it. You made it through the shirt change, and now we're back to where we started. You don't gotta worry about it no more, okay? It's not that bad. Don't freak out. Squirrely little So what's Leon up to? Last time we left off with him, he passed out. Now he's waking up after his little meth nap. And it's nighttime now, and it's raining, and everything's going wrong for Leon, the himbo extraordinaire. He slides on out of this cabin that he took a nap in, and he runs into another ganado. That's the enemy names, by the way, called ganado. I think that's pronouncing it right. I'm Hispanic, but you wouldn't know it looking at me. This ganado is a little different though, because his head explodes like a grape, and this big old tentacle with a blade on the end pops out. So that's what's going on in this game. Yeah, so it's not zombies. It's big old parasite dudes. Big old parasites in their bodies and in their heads. That's kind of the whole enemy dynamic this time around. I think it works. I think it's cool. I think it gives the enemies a little bit more intelligence than your bog standard zombie, than the T-Virus ever did. It's cool. I do like it. I think it's interesting. Yeah, so they just kind of control their bodies like it's a big empty sack of meat puppet, and you know what? Maybe that's exactly what they are. Whoever knows. We're never really given a good idea of if the parasite is the one who's really doing all the things, or if you're doing it. Never brought up, never mentioned, whatever. Anyway, that's just something we gotta watch out for now. You know, if we start popping somebody in the head, it might pop and then they spawn a Plaga. Honestly, I think even if you just shoot them in the body a bunch, they'll sometimes spawn a Plaga. So it just happens. You just there's no avoiding it. It's like taxes. This little circle medallion that we pick up underneath a waterfall is the key that we need to get into the church. Fuck standard keys. Fuck anything that's even remotely like normal in the world of Resident Evil. No, we need a big ass medallion to slot into a door to open it up. That's just how this world functions. It's not ours. It's never been ours. We start making our way back and we run into our second boss of this game, and in my opinion, one of the better ones. They're all really good. The logo was just bad. This next boss is El Gigante, and he's repeated a lot throughout the story. I don't think there's a single time where I don't like fighting him though. I think he's just fun. That's a lie. I'll get there. We'll get there. I love El Gigante. I think he's great. He's just a big lumbering oaf that you shoot a few times in the head and the parasite pops out of his back, and you can jump up there and knife it. I always just pull out the shotgun and blast it a few times. I probably waste a lot more ammo than I need to, but that's me. And this is where the dog pays off. So you remember that dog that we saved, that you have to save, and if you don't save him, you're going to hell? It's a little extreme. Yeah, that dog shows up now, and he distracts El Gigante while you continue to shoot him, while you just shoot at him. And then once the big dude's dead, that's it. The dog runs off. That's it. And then we never see the dog again. I would have liked him to then show up at the final boss in like a mech suit or something, but I don't get what I want. Ever. So we have the key, we make our way back to the church. I'm gonna talk about these little dog fuckers later. I have some things to say. But I'll do that later. We open the front door, we solve a puzzle made for kindergartners, and Ashley is free. I gotta talk about Ashley. I have to talk about Ashley. So yeah, some people just really hate Ashley. I don't really blame them, honestly. Every time I replay the game, I understand it a little bit more. But I didn't get it the first time. First time I ever played Resident Evil 4, I was like, I don't understand why everybody hates this poor woman. She's just freaking out. She's in this foreign place and she's been kidnapped and she's been injected with meth. She doesn't know what's happening. Now, in retrospect, I get it a little bit. I understand. It's not even necessarily that. Well, look, I'm not gonna pretend that there's not any sexism going on there. That just annoying woman bad because yell and scream. No, but the other thing about it is you have to take into account how early this was in companion AI technology. This isn't The Last of Us. This isn't The Last Guardian. Oh God, The Last Guardian's bad too. Let's not that one. Just The Last of Us. Just The Last of Us. Ashley is just kind of brain dead. In her AI things, you really have to play around her. It's not like the rest of the game where it conforms to your play style. You have to conform to how to play with Ashley involved. I think that's fine. I mean, like, that seems real world. That seems normal. You know, Leon just can't go blasting away when he's got somebody with him the whole time. That seems normal. But I get it. I understand. Whatever. At no point will she ever try to go down a ladder. At all. She'll stand up there and she'll start screaming at you. God forbid you forget that she has to jump down a ladder and just leave her. Now you're going to be hearing, Leon, help! For like 3 minutes until you make your way back there. That's wildly annoying. Okay, so if you turn to her and you start shooting, she'll duck. And that's smart. That's genius. The problem is that there's a delay. So if you're shooting and you reload or you stop aiming, and then someone walks, Ashley. So I killed her like twice, I think, in this whole playthrough. I swear, it's obnoxious. It really is. Half the time you should be putting her in the little Ashley boxes that are scattered throughout the world, throughout the map. Just shove her in there. Don't stress about it. Don't worry about it. Just throw her in the little Ashley box. She'll be there when you're done, when you're ready. I love that that's a thing. That they realized that the companion was so needy, so obnoxious. They're like, just throw some fucking boxes around and they can store her in a box. Done. Anyway, so we bust Ashley out of prison. We make our way to the entrance of the church, and we run into the warden of her prison, Sadler, the leader of the cult of the religion. He's the big bad guy of this game. And
no longer will the United States think they can police the world forever.
Okay.
So we kidnapped the president's daughter in order
so close to being based. So close. But he's not. It's thing is bad, so we're going to murder babies. It's obnoxious how that is a trope. How often that happens. People have a legitimate concern that is valid, but then they overreact. But then in fiction, you're like, oh, okay, so they're gonna like bomb a hospital or something in response. No, what do you? It's invalidating and infuriating, and I hate it. Regardless, I'm pretty sure he lays out the plan. If not, he does it later. So they shot both Leon and Ashley up with Plagas and said, okay, we're gonna ship these two back to America. They're gonna be under our control, and we're gonna take it over from the inside. And even if we don't, you know, we're still gonna fuck some shit up, I guess. That's basically it. That's basically the entirety of the plan. I know that there's a memo towards the end of the game where he goes more in depth about it, but that's the general gist of why they kidnapped Ashley. Leon just says no straight up and jumps out of the window. You know that thing that we could have done to get in here, like hours earlier? Nah, doesn't do it. He jumps out the window, but not in. Yeah, so now we gotta go, and villagers are all over the place. We gotta commit more genocide before running away. Now we make it to the cabin section of the game, the cabin siege section of the game. This part's fun. It's this big. It's like an early horde mode. I think if Resident Evil 4 Remake did an all new like cabin mode version of this game where it's just endless and it never ends, I think that would be cool. Regardless, so you're in a cabin. Ashley's upstairs, locked in a dresser. Luis shows up to help you out, and villagers just keep swarming in, and that is it. That is the entirety of the section. You gotta keep going until they, again, for some reason, decide to just fuck off. They get bored and they leave. That's what happens. The cutscene starts playing and the dude's just like, I'm done with this. And that's it, and they all leave. There's no bell this time. They just go. They just piss off, I guess. I don't know. It's basically just a game of King of the Hill. Whatever. So now we're done with the cabin. Moving on to the next chapter, we're faced with two different paths. One path has 2 chainsaw sisters and a bunch of ganados. The other one's just got another El Gigante. Unfortunately, if you're trying to get all the treasure, like I was, you got to do both. There are necessary treasure pieces for the. This is another thing. Scatterbrain moment. You get treasure in this game, and some of it you can just sell straight off, and you'll be able to use it. Other stuff, you get the base item, and then you got to slot more shit into it throughout the game that you find through the game. You sell it for way more than the individual pieces were worth on their own. Like, it's an absurd amount worth more. So you do that. To have money, you do that. Capitalism. That's what the game is. So anyway, I do both, obviously. On the left path, there's a little extra bonus room hidden away that shows you all the developers of the HD texture pack that I'm playing this on. Not only that, they give you a lot of little treasures to sell, just some extra bonuses, and they put the silencer back in the game. So the silencer was meant to be, well, it is in the game. It's only in another mode that I'm going to talk about later. It was supposed to be in like the main game, I believe. It was supposed to be a Leon silencer for his handgun. They cut that, but they added it back in. I think that's cool. I didn't really get a chance to use it because at this point I was using the Red 9, and that's my only pistol. That's the one that I use. But yeah, so we keep moving. We make it through these 2 paths. Could have just been 1, but it's 2 now. We come to this wall. It's just there. I don't know how we know that this is the way forward, but it is. That's the way. You go this way. There are memos left all over the game. In my defense, I'm not reading them because I read them 20 years ago when I first played this game. So if I make an excuse, if I say something like this game doesn't explain this, no, it's probably just me being dumb. Okay, let's get that out of the way. That's a lot of this video is just me being dumb. Whatever. So we bank it to the left. We kill a few more ganado, and then we run into the village chief, the brick shithouse himself, and he is certifiably not brick shithouse. He reveals his Plagas form, which is he just takes the torso and stretches it, and that's it. That's it. But he's big, he's intimidating, he's scary. I died like 3 times on this boss. I didn't know what I was doing wrong, but eventually I made it. This was by far the hardest boss for me. But again, it's like the game is supposed to be terrifying. So if I'm terrified, doesn't that make it a great boss? I don't know. Whatever. Eventually he pops off, just goes on to the next world, and he spits out a gross slimy eye for us to pick up, and that is the key to the door. Yep, an eye. We have to get a little false glass eye. Beep 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 beep. Scan it on the door. That's how it works. This rural village in Spain in like 2005 is when this game takes place. Yeah, that they got retina scanner technology. Right. So now we're getting chased by more ganado. We run into a castle and close up the gate, and that is the end of chapter 2. There's 5 of these.